Good, good morning, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting to order. I'm State Senator George Cabrera, co-chair, and my co-chair Representative Wood. And we're going to go into a quick recess and then reconvene momentarily. So go into recess now. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting back to order. George Cabrera, co-chair of the Insurance and Real Estate Committee. And just note one small change to the agenda. We're going to move item number 11, HB 6635 up to go first. See if any opening comments from my co-chair Rep. Wood.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I just want to thank the committee. This is our last committee meeting. We've done a lot of work together. Thank you for all your long hours and your work. We work summer, fall, and winter on working on these bills. And that's why we're able to get them to the committee process. So I want to thank everyone for their work, and I look forward to continuing to work with you on these great bills.
Thank you, Madam Co-chair. Any opening remarks on my rankings? Senator Wong.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's good to be in person, and we have a lot of work ahead of us, but also I want to caution the fact that we have multiple committee meetings going on. It's JF time, so there'll be people coming in and out. Nevertheless, I know they're going to be involved and offer input on the bills that are critical. So thank you very much.
Opening. You're all set? Okay. All right. So let's move on and start with item number 1, HB 6635, LCO number 5818. This is an act concerning the dog breed insurance underwriting. And I'd like to invite Representative Nuccio to give a brief summary.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for the opportunity to present this bill for JF to Judish, I believe. So this bill is it's an act concerning dog breed insurance underwriting and the liability of owners and keepers of dogs. And it's an NCOIL model bill that was passed last summer in the NCOIL, the National Coalition of Insurance Legislators format. And this bill basically makes it so a property and casualty company cannot discriminate against a breed of a dog solely. So currently in the state of Connecticut, you can be priced differently for homeowners, or you can be denied for homeowners or apartment insurance based on the breed of your dog and not on the actual actions of individual dogs. What this bill does is brings us back to looking at the individual behavior of the dogs themselves and gives the insurance companies the ability to price up if you have a dog that has a vicious propensity or is known to be vicious, but not solely against just an entire breed. What it also does is it gives the insurance companies the ability to be able to defend those claims, which they do not have right now. So this is a bill giving equity to homeowners and apartment people who live in apartments who need insurance and have breeds of dog that in the past have been unfairly classified as vicious without any actual proof or propensity of claim action.
Thank you, Representative Nuccio. Apologies. I need a motion to raise this bill.
So moved.
Senator Wong, second by Representative Wood. Okay, any other summaries or?
Nope, I'm
comments?
happy to take any questions if anybody has any.
Questions? Representative Wood.
I just wanted to let everyone know that Representative Nuccio worked on a national panel at NCOIL with legislators from all over the country on model language for this. That was published, I believe, in December of 2022. And I just want to thank her for her work.
Thank you, Representative Wood. Any other questions? Senator Wong? Oh, sorry. Apologies. Senator Wong.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, back to this world that we have to adapt to. I also want to echo the sentiments of the chair and acknowledging Representative Nuccio's effort in this. I think in the public hearings we heard that that this kind of policy discriminates against breed without any substantiation, and the substitute language accounts for evidence of past behavior such as past biting or past aggressive behavior. I think that's important as a compromise to acknowledge that for those animals, not breeds, that demonstrate or display those kind of aggressive behavior, there can be a caveat for our insurance companies to address. But nevertheless, this bill addresses a very important issue that we need to stop the discrimination against specific breeds of dogs as a generalization. And I applaud Representative Nuccio for her efforts on this. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator Juan. Representative Meskers has his hands up on Zoom. Representative?
Thank you very much. So I had the pleasure of traveling out with Chair Wood and with Representative Nuccio to the conferences for NCOIL. We probably were diametrically opposed at the outset of the discussion. I've never owned a dog. My daughter has a mini dachshund. And so naturally, I brought my preconceived notions to the table, and Representative Nuccio was a very fierce advocate. But then I went and looked at the insurance industry and looked at claims data, asked for a defense of the policy issues as they exist, and there were none. So I think the issue outstanding is, many people will have an inherent knee-jerk or biased reaction, but I think this takes us to the right place. I don't know if I would have gotten there without being summarily lobbied aggressively, but I want to thank her for the work, and I think we've got a good bill in front of us. So thank you all for the work.
Thank you, Representative. And just clarification, this is a JFS to judiciary. I'm sorry.
Sorry about that. Yes, exactly.
Any other questions? Senator Wong?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, for the second time. And I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge that during the public hearing, I want to acknowledge the insurance industry for them stepping forward and working with this committee to facilitating the bill as it is right now. Credit needs to be given there as well. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator Wong. Seeing no other questions. Can clerk call the roll?
Representative Wood,
Rep. Wood is a yes.
Senator Cabrera,
Senator Cabrera is a yes.
Representative Barry,
Representative Barry, yes.
Senator Anwar, Representative Pavlock Tomato,
Pavlock Tomato votes yes.
Senator Huang,
Senator Huang, yay.
Senator Lesser, Senator Marks,
Senator Marks is yes.
Representative Denning,
Representative Denning says yes.
Representative Delnicki,
Yes.
Representative Meskers,
Representative Meskers is a yes.
Representative Nuccio.
Representative Nuccio is a yes.
Thank you. That concludes the roll.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Okay, moving on, item number 2 or number 1 on the old agenda, SB 1037 and acts concerning self-storage insurance, LCO 4162. This is a JF to the floor. Can I have a motion? So move. Representative Wood, I have a second. Representative Nuccio seconds. This is a self-storage bill establishing licensing and regulatory requirements for self-storage insurance. Is there anything else to add on that? No. Yeah, any questions? Any online? Questions? Okay, and clerk call the roll.
Representative Wood,
Rep. Wood is a yes.
Senator Cabrera,
Senator Cabrera is a yes.
Representative Barry,
Representative Barry's yes.
Senator Anwar, Representative Pavlock Tomato,
Pavlock Tomato votes no.
Senator Huang,
Senator Huang, nay.
Senator Lesser, Senator Marks,
Senator Marks votes yes.
Representative Denning,
Representative Denning votes yes.
Representative Delnicki,
Yes.
Representative Meskers,
Representative Metzger votes yes.
Representative Nuccio.
Representative Nuccio votes yes.
Thank you. That concludes the roll.
Thank you,
Go for the
Mr. Clark.
reinsurance.
Moving on to number 2 on the item, SB 1038. This is an act concerning captive insurance companies. This is a technical changes insurance department bill. Basically accepts or transfers risk through parametric contracts. Can I get a motion? Moved by Representative Wood. Can I get a second? Second by Representative Downicki. Any questions? Representative Pablo.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a question for section 3. Which exempts dormant captive insurance, dormant captive insurance company for payment of taxes under 38A-91 NN. If you can explain that, what that section covers and means. As in what taxes? I'm not sure what taxes they are.
So Representative, it exempts the dormant captive insurers from the captive insurance tax. Is that actually a question?
So will that? Okay, I see. That makes sense now. And is this bill overall a technical fix from last year's bill? Is that correct?
Yes, Representative, it is.
I have no further questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions on what? Any other questions? Senator Wong.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I do remember last year, this bill passed through the Senate in regards to the captive audience. This is an additional supplement to it, some technical, but also, I believe, through you, a clarification that it allows now for the payment of these fees electronically, whereas previously it did not allow, to kind of accommodate the ease of transaction. Would that be correct?
I'm not 100% sure on that, Senator. Okay, I stand corrected, Senator Wong. I've just been informed by Representative what it does.
Not at all. I appreciate the answer, Mr. Chair, and it's a teamwork effort, and I appreciate the initiative that's been proposed by the Connecticut Insurance Department. They've worked very hard in educating us on this issue, so thank you. I would support it.
Thank you, Senator. Any other questions? Seeing none, can the clerk? Oh, Senator Wong.
If there's no objection, I would like to ask the chair to begin a consent calendar and include this bill onto it.
Sure, so moved. Can the clerk start a consent calendar, including this bill? Okay, next is SB 1039. This is an act concerning the insurance department's recommendations regarding financial regulation, life insurance, and insurance licensing requirements, as well as technical corrections to the life and health insurance statutes. And it's basically a fee structure for certified reinsurers and reciprocal jurisdiction applications to allow the payment of fees electronically, to update the insurance licensing requirements and make technical corrections to life and health insurance statutes and to conform infertility statutes and federal law. It's a JFS to the floor, basically. Have a motion. Moved by Representative Wood. Do I have a second? Second by Representative Nuccio. Any questions? Representative Pablo.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. discussed this bill, had lengthy conversation about this bill. And so my question is with section 11. I'm understanding the intent behind it. However, is there a requirement that there be infertility in the individuals who this covers? Through you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I will gladly take that question on. This is to allow for fairness in regards to same-sex couples who would not be able to conceive. And they would be determined the ability to receive treatment because they are in same-sex relationships.
Okay, so, but are they diagnosed as infertile?
They are not.
Okay, so is there a difference then between the individuals you mentioned who this intends to cover, and let's say just for an example, a single woman who wants to have a baby, would she be covered under this as well?
She would not.
And why is that?
Because we're looking at the fairness in regards to relationships of same sex and same gender.
Okay, but a single woman can't get pregnant. So why wouldn't she be covered? And why would those two individuals be covered if they're both not able to have a?
It would depend on the relationship, I believe. A single woman may have other options if she is heterosexual, and same-sex couples do not have those same options.
Well, they do have options, don't they? I mean, I believe like an individual, they can still go to, let's say, a sperm bank and utilize that as well. I guess I'm not seeing how that's different than maybe coverage. Well, let me ask you, as far as, and maybe that's where I don't know, not fully understanding as far as what it covers. Does it cover like IVF, in vitro? Or what exactly is it covering as far as procedures go?
Yes, it does explain what the coverage is in the bill, but each of those coverages have a limit. So they would be allowed certain types of fertility treatments, some cases 4 times, some cases 2 times, and other considerations would go into place regarding health and age as well.
Okay. And I have some knowledge in the area, not fully, not every, I guess not every avenue. So I guess that's where I'm kind of having some confusion. Okay, so what about, and I'm more so clearly not thinking this through, but let's say somebody who has transitioned from a man to a woman, would they be covered under this? And they're in a same-sex relationship.
They would not.
No, it doesn't matter at this point. Okay, I guess I'm, for that reason, I guess I'm not seeing how the difference between an individual woman and then two women in a relationship. I guess I'm not seeing the distinction as to why one would be covered and why the other wouldn't, considering they both have the same inability to become pregnant on their own. I don't know. I don't know if you consider it the same question or if you could answer that.
Just for example, lesbian couple does not have the ability to get pregnant. And a heterosexual single woman has options that lesbian couples do not. So we are just trying to clarify the language so that it is a fairness issue for all.
Okay. I understand and I appreciate your answer. I still don't see what the difference in their options are. And maybe that is just my limitation. But I just, for that reason, this is the purpose of the language has been to cover infertility. And of course, the fact that an egg alone can't get pregnant is, I mean, that's not due to a sickness or illness. That's because somebody else who created us made that decision. I just don't understand. And I don't understand why this would discriminate against anybody else in a similar situation who wants to try to get pregnant, whether they transitioned, what they have or what they don't have. I don't see why there's that difference in this language. So I just can't support this bill for that reason. Thank you.
I think I'd just like to provide some clarifying language. If a single female is having infertility issues, she would be able to use the same mechanisms as a same-sex couple.
Right, but if she is not infertile, I mean, she can't get pregnant in and by herself, but that doesn't mean she's necessarily infertile. So there's a difference there. And that's where I'm not seeing the difference between that woman and a same-sex couple. I mean, I understand that it's not going to be osmosis, and as far as I know, but I'm still not seeing the difference between the two for people who aren't necessarily medically determined to be infertile. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Senator Wong has a question.
Not a question. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think it's important to note that, and I appreciate and understand where the good ranking House member is coming from, and she does raise important points. But that being said, this bill is the insurance department's recommendation, and I have great respect for the commissioner as well as the expertise of the insurance department. Some aspects of technical changes, some aspects in regards to financial regulations, but this is with constant input and collaboration with the insurance department. And in regards to section 11, I think the input of the insurance department was important. And they agreed with this language that we're proposing here because it is in conformity with the Affordable Care Act requirements. It is what the good House Chair emphasized, a fairness issue. But I think ultimately it brings into the complexities and the new challenges we have in the current world that we live in, and recognizing some of the realities that need to be addressed. So I will be supporting this bill, but I also weigh heavily on the input of the insurance department and their blessing of this language and their administration, and knowing that this plan conforms and meets all the criteria of coverage. So it has a heavy weight in regards to my decision that the insurance department has signed off on their department bill. And I appreciate the opportunity to articulate that. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator. Sure. How about the motto?
Thank you for allowing me a second time. I did see that it's removing, I believe, the coverage, the age limit, which was 40. So I was wondering if with that number removed, is there a limit at all?
It is, age is removed, so it complies with the Affordable Care Act, but it's age, in addition to the health of the woman.
So would the over 40 then would have to have a certain condition, or is that how it would work?
They would have to have, infertility issues per the guidance, of the bill. And then also, health would also be a factor.
Okay, and so the, you had mentioned before, then is there a limit as to attempts, let's say with IVF or in vitro, that one would be able to make or have?
Yes, that is listed in the bill.
Okay, thank you. That's
Thank you, Representative. Representative Nuccio?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd just like to also comment on this bill in the sense that what the Department of Insurance is doing here is also bringing us in alignment with several other states that have already recognized the medical necessity, which is what determines infertility, is the medical necessity. Whereas if a single woman was had medical necessity with problems with conception, they would also be eligible to access these benefits, which are part of the plan that they all pay for. The old language goes back a couple of decades, I believe, or at least over a decade, which indicates that infertility was so narrowly defined. This here brings us in alignment with, if you look at a same-sex couple, there is medical necessity for fertility, for fertility treatment. Wow, that was a tongue twister. It's early in the morning. So this bill does bring us in line with what other states have already recognized and what the industry has recognized in several different areas, that for a same-sex couple especially, there is medical necessity for fertility, that they cannot become pregnant on their own, which is the classification of medical necessity. And as far as the age piece of it, that is part of ACA. And I think it's important to caveat that there's medical necessity in there also, that it is a medically reviewed procedure. So I'm supportive of the bill. I'm supportive of the insurance company, the insurance Department of Insurance looking at this and recognizing that there's space here for equity to access the same benefits that we are all paying for, that all of these people are paying for these benefits. They now have the ability to access them. It's not a mandate. It's just equal access regardless of sexual orientation and gender. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Any other questions? Seeing none, will the clerk call the roll, please?
Representative Wood,
Rep. Wood is a yes.
Senator Cabrera,
Senator Cabrera is a yes.
Representative Barry,
Representative Barry's yes.
Senator Anwar, Representative Pavlock Tomato,
Pavlock Tomato votes no.
Senator Huang,
Senator Huang votes yea.
Senator Lesser, Senator Marks,
Senator Marks votes yes.
Representative Denning,
Representative Denning votes yes.
Representative Delnicki,
Yes.
Representative Meskers,
Representative Meskers votes yes.
Representative Nuccio.
Representative Nuccio votes yes.
Thank you. That concludes the roll.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Next is SB 1112. This is LCL 4747, an act concerning long-term care insurance. This is a reference to finance. Agreed with there's a motion to move into the consent calendar. So moved by Senator Wong, seconded by Representative Wood. No objection. We'll move forward. Okay, next is SB 1114, an act concerning a study to prohibit private equity ownership in hospice care. LCO 5742. A study to prohibit private equity ownership. Senator Wong.
If I may, Mr. Chair, if we can go back to 1112, even though it's going to the finance, I believe we're gonna have to have a vote, and I would, if there's no objection, I'd like to move it to the consent calendar.
Any objection? No. Second.
Second.
Second by Representative Wood. Okay, no objection. We'll move that to the consent as well. Next is SB 1116. An act concerning state operated reinsurance program and healthcare cost growth, LCO 5706.
Doing 1114.
Oh, sorry, my apologies. 1114. An act concerning private equity ownership, LCO 5742. This is an act concerning study to prohibit private equity ownership in hospice care, JFS, to the floor. Can I get a motion? So moved by Representative Wood. Second. Second by Representative Denning. Any questions? Representative Pavlik Amato.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Can you, if you want to, I don't believe this was necessarily your bill, but if you could provide me some information and reasoning behind and the purpose of this bill? I know what it does, but why? What the issue is?
So part of the issue that people have brought up and myself is the rise of private equity ownership in hospice care.
Mhm.
And there's been a lot of news articles on this, the New Yorker most recently, with some of the lack of transparency and lack of accountability, some abuse of it. So this is an attempt to address that.
And what would be the abuse? You could clarify or
Sure.
expand on that.
Yeah, some of the coverage has been not enough accountability, people being charged, collecting fees, creating LLCs in hospice care that are not providing the care that they say they're going to care, putting people in hospice care that probably don't qualify for hospice care.
Mhm.
People who have illnesses and diseases that could be cared for, not in hospice.
I understand those concerns and I empathize with them. I don't think this bill, though, necessarily is the route for the to find the solution for the concerns that you just raised. Those are things that I understand are yeah, that's a concern, and I understand this is a study. I guess maybe I wish the study was specifically for those issues and not necessarily a study banning the private equity ownership. Because again, we're talking about America and owning and private property and owning interests in companies. Part of this, again, the reason this country was founded. However, I do understand those concerns. But I would like to, with that, offer an amendment on this bill, if I may, an oral amendment.
Please proceed.
Thank you. My motion is to add, we had another bill that of mandates, many of them, well, all of them, needed and important to many people. And there was one that I know there was probably the most testimony on, or one of the most, and it's been a mandate that has been put forward in the past many years. And so my motion would be to require coverage, mandated coverage by insurance companies for bariatric surgery. And I would also add that a provision that would allow LCO to be allowed to make any authorized and conforming changes in other parts, in other statutes related to this. So.
Thank you, Representative. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Representative Delnicki. Any questions? Comment? Yes, Representative Denning.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As somebody who's been in healthcare for 40 years, private equity firms are to make money, and I am a capitalist fully and completely. However, in healthcare, venture capitalists actually removes money from the care and moves it to those who've invested in it. So hospitals who are owned by venture capitalists, clinics that are owned by venture capitalists, and even hospice that are owned by venture capitalists are not there to just provide care. They're there to make money off that care. And I think our healthcare system has been burdened enough with cost that I think every dollar we can keep in our healthcare system and let the financiers make it from the banks, I would prefer that we keep as much money as we can into the healthcare system and keep this bill as it is.
Thank you, Representative. Any other questions, comments? Senator Wong?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just for rules and regulations sake, I'm going to comment on the proposed amendment. And I want to compliment Representative Pavlik D'Amato in raising this bill. We did have this conversation in regards to, I believe it was a bill in this committee in regards to the bariatric. I also want to acknowledge Senator Berthel, along with so many of the other advocates that advocated for it. It is an important part of healthcare delivery, and this amendment into this bill, which I believe has important merit as part of a study, is important. And I'll be voting in support of this amendment. And I ask that this amendment be taken by a roll call vote.
Thank you, Senator. Any other questions or comments on the amendment? Representative Delnicki.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I'd like to align my comments with the good ranking senator on the committee. I have numerous friends and acquaintances that have benefited significantly with bariatric surgery. And it has made such a difference in their life. They avoided becoming diabetics. One of them actually, after the surgery in a period of time, no longer was a diabetic. It is truly a life changer and a life improver. And, you know, when you think about it, there's actually a medical cost savings in the long run with the bariatric surgery because of all the other issues that can befall upon an individual that needs that kind of surgery. So I'm glad to see, and I thank the ranking House member for making the amendment, and Representative Denning for your comments over there. I think it's a very good, solid, sound amendment, and I hope everybody supports it. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Representative. Any other questions or comments on the amendment? Representative Metzger is online.
So just for procedurally for a question, I believe we're only addressing the amendment at this point. Is that correct, to the chairs?
Correct.
And the amendment to the chair is to allow for bariatric surgery or a study of bariatric surgery. I'm confused here.
Representative Pavlik D'Amato.
To mandate insurance coverage for bariatric surgery, not a study.
So this is an amendment to the study.
I know, but the study is for, I'm following, I want to make sure my English is clear, George. The amendment, the study is for the hospice care and hedge funds. And I have comments on that, which I'll bring in another point. This amendment, before we vote on the base bill, is just to allow or cover bariatric surgery at this moment in time. Okay, right? So I should be commenting only on the bariatric surgery, okay?
Representative.
I think it, okay, I would just say that I think it's a radical departure to step forward at this point. I know we've discussed it. I'm more than willing to have further discussion, but to mandate the coverage for a procedure, and a majority of the people who have come forward have spoken in favor of it. I think the medical can be somewhat mixed. So I would not be happy with mandating the coverage for bariatric surgery at this point, because I want more information, more time to study the issue, I want to get the proponents and opponents. Obviously, the people who speak about it, the people who have successful operations, all of the medical profession that's engaged in this as a profession wants insurance coverage because it broadens their access. So I want to be able to get more NIH studies and really go delve into it to see whether this is something that we are improving. We're forcing the entire covered community to pay for it if we go right now to it. And I want to make sure that the overall benefit merits that inclusion. So at this point, I'd be a no on the amendment.
Thank you, Representative. Any other questions on the amendment? Comments? Representative Denning, for the secretary.
I may be the only one on the committee who's actually been involved with bariatric surgery. I provided anesthesia for many of these people. It is a lifestyle change if it works, but it requires both a commitment before and after. And the results right now from my medical training and my experience is that it is not sufficient enough to have made a change in the majority of the people who've had this surgery. And so until more, I would promote a study to see what projects work best to get a successful outcome. And I appreciate Representative Delnicki mentioning that he has people who's changed their lives, but I'm not sure this is something we should mandate at this time.
Thank you, Representative. Any more comments, questions on the amendment? So we're voting on the amendment. This is not a friendly amendment. I encourage a no vote on it. And again, this is a vote only on the amendment. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Representative Wood,
Rep. Wood is a no.
Senator Cabrera,
Senator Cabrera is a no.
Representative Barry,
No.
Senator Anwar, Representative Pavlock Tomato,
Pavlock Tomato votes yes.
Senator Huang,
Senator Huang votes yay, and if it should pass, I would encourage it be referred to appropriations.
Senator Lesser, Senator Marks,
Mark says no.
Representative Denning,
Representative Denning is a no.
Representative Delnicki,
Yes.
Representative Meskers,
Representative Meskers is a no.
Representative Nuccio.
Representative Nuccio is a no.
That concludes the roll.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. Okay, now moving back to the base bill. Any questions or comments before Senator Huang?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I find the idea of addressing this issue a critical element in this current healthcare environment that we're in. And I'll be supporting this, even though I am troubled by the focus of banning. I would hope that the study would be able to point out some of the pitfalls and the challenges in the deteriorating care that we have seen in just tragic stories. And my hope is, and if I may add that as part of this working group, it's not in the bill, but in consideration to also address our senior care and elderly care facilities, where the recent phenomenon of Athena Care in Newtown and the tragedy and the unacceptable stories of lacking care is unacceptable at any turn. So if this is a study in regards to hospice care, that is absolutely a very important part of being able to provide end-of-life care for loved ones. I would also say that there's got to be consideration in regards to staffing ratio and quality standards as it relates to our adult care and senior care, elderly care facilities that are going through the same challenge, whether it's being by private equity ownership or ownership that is not providing adequate and supportive services to our seniors. It's a betrayal of the relationship they have with the family. So I appreciate the study. I'll support it. And I hope that we'll also investigate further the challenges in our elder care facilities as well. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator Huang. I believe Representative Meskers has his hand raised online. Senator Meskers? I'm sorry, Representative.
Thank
Meskers.
you for, thank you for the promotion. I'm not sure if that's a promotion or demotion. I'm still wrestling with that. Thank you, Jorge, in any case. I think the study should be somewhat more agnostic in its concept or in its implementation. I'm a big believer in putting capital to work in various industries, but in the case here, I will support the bill, and the problem is the regulatory framework, whether I'm looking at an insurance company, a pharmacy, a hospital, or a private equity firm, is that I find at some level the system is gamed against the consumer, so that expenses are going up at a wild pace. And in the hospice care, what accentuates the acquisition through change is if they're not implementing business models that improve efficiency and deliver a better product for end-of-life care, they're extracting cash from a business on the basis of reducing the quality and level of services. And I don't know how you measure them in hospice, other than you're going in, a loved one's going in, and the service levels are important, and the care and consideration there. So if I think investments in any kind of a franchise arrangement, whether it be a hedge fund or a venture capital vulture fund or a straight out franchise, if they strip out the quality of service, I mean, it's a testimony to our lack of oversight and our lack of willingness to oversight. So I don't know if I want to make it as, I would encourage that the study be a study of the delivery of service for people at end of life in hospice care, and to make sure that we are comfortable that we have the right remedies or oversight to make sure that's done well. And I'm more agnostic on the capital, but I take both Senator Huang's and Representative Denning's comments very well. If they're extracting capital, or if their service levels are going down, that's on us to a certain extent. But so I'd like the study to be relatively more measuring of how we measure hospice care, how we deliver the service, and set benchmarks before we let anyone else. Maybe we prohibit some of the investments until we know what we're doing on the control function. So I would recommend that, I want to flag that. I'll vote yes, but this has to be more robust category of just keeping one sort of capital out of the business. The business, we want to make sure the business isn't predatory, no matter who owns it. But thank you.
Thank you, Representative. And as always, these things are a work in progress, and I very much look forward to talking to you and others on how we can make the study more robust. It's an opportunity to address some of the opaque nature of these hospice care LLCs that are popping up all over the country, and making sure people are held accountable and are in hospice care who should be in hospice care, not someone just milking the system. Any other questions on the underlining bill? Before we proceed, can I ask Mr. Clerk to give us the tally for the amendment that failed last time?
Yes, those voting yay on amendment A for bill number 1114. Those voting yay, 3, those voting nay, 8, and absent and not voting 1.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Any other questions on the underlining bill? Okay, seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Representative Wood,
Rep. Wood is a yes.
Senator Cabrera,
Senator Cabrera is a yes.
Representative Barry,
Representative Barry, yes.
Senator Anwar, Representative Pavlock D'Amato,
Pavlock D'Amato votes no.
Senator Huang, Senator Lesser, Senator Marks,
Senator Marks votes yes.
Representative Denning,
Representative Denning votes yes.
Representative Delnicki,
Yes.
Representative Meskers,
Representative Meskers votes yes.
Representative Nuccio. That concludes the roll.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. We're going to, for the moment, skip over item 6 on the agenda, SB 1116, and move into HB 5858. This is an act establishing a task force. It is LCO 5765. It's establishing a task force to study the methods to encourage insurers to develop technology to prevent texting while driving, concerning financial planners, and requiring a study concerning the banning of loss of use damages for rental car company, basically establishing a task force to study ways to encourage insurers to develop new technologies to prevent texting while driving, as well as requiring financial planners to disclose to consumers whether or not their financial planner has a fiduciary duty to such a consumer for each recommendation that the planner makes regarding insurance, as well as requiring the insurance commission to study the banning of loss of use damages to rental car companies. Can I get a motion? So moved by Representative Wood. Can I get a second?
Seconded.
Representative
Seconded.
Messi, seconded. Any questions?
Yep.
Representative Pavlik.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If you could skip down to what would be section 5, 6, and 7. Number 6, if you could go through that section, what it does.
Representative Wood.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and through you. What was happening was that consumers who were purchasing car rental were reporting to our committee that they sometimes would rent a car and it wouldn't be properly maintained. And the car would then be out of service. And then they were getting bills for the loss of use. So basically, current statute says that a rental car company can go after a purchaser of a rental car for that time that the car is out of service. So this is a consumer protection change to our statute to just protect people who are renting cars. There's been a lot more people renting cars, which is great, but we are exposing some flaws in the industry, and we're trying to do the best we can to make sure consumers aren't getting surprise bills when they go to rent a car.
Okay, so as opposed to, let's say, an accident happening, they're saying it's a not sufficient oil changes being done, and then they're being accused of causing that issue with the car. Is that correct?
It is
As an example?
both cases. So if the car is out of service,
Hmm.
the company can go to the lessee and charge them for loss of use. So it could be for an accident, it could be for non-maintenance, it could be for a tire issue. Basically, what's happening is that these cars, it's kind of hard to even find rental cars. They're being sought after so much currently in our country, and we want to make sure that the cars are being maintained, and if they're not, that it is not the fault via a penalty to people who are renting cars.
Okay, but if the person causes the accident or isn't, let's say they cause the accident, then why wouldn't we want, and this is a rental car company and that's how they're making their living, why wouldn't we want to continue loss of use for, in the case where the renter caused an accident?
I think you bring up a great point. Many of us were talking about this leading up to this bill, and I think that would be something we would, I think, need to dive into a little bit more and get the data on. Are the loss of uses coming from customer accidents, or are they coming from vehicles not being maintained?
Is there currently let's say, like an affirmative defense in the event where the renter claims that it's not their, any breakdown is not from their use or they didn't cause it?
That's another great point. I don't know the intricacies of how these claims are made, and but would certainly be open to working on them through you.
Okay, and can you explain to me the difference between, because I see section 5 has adding a new definition for loss of use, and then section 7 adds a new definition for loss of use. So,
Yeah, this is just clarifying language to define what loss of use is through you.
but is one section removed, or are they both new definitions for loss of use?
They are new definitions through you, Mr. Chair.
Oh, in two different, they're in two different sections, is that two different statutes, that's what it is?
Yes, that is
Okay.
correct.
Okay, I mean, I'm still a little confused as to why somebody who, causes an accident wouldn't, be allowed to, be charged in that event. Just, it's the whole purpose of a rental car company. Something else that we, that there was discussion about, and I don't remember there being any public testimony on this, but is any person who rents a car, are they required to have some type of auto insurance? Whether that is through the company or their own, is there a requirement?
Through you, Mr. Chair, yes, there is a requirement for insurance coverage, and if there is an accident, there is coverage that would be taking care of the repair of the car. This is separate. This is loss of use. Loss of use
Right.
is just going after a lessee for the rental income that would have been coming in during that time frame. And it's it's not to go after them for the coverage of the damage. That's where the insurance of the lessee would take precedent.
Okay, I would then, I would like to offer an amendment, if I may. My amendment would be to strike sections 5, 6, and 7 of this bill. I don't have a problem with the other parts of this bill, but for me, these 3 sections are just, they're too damaging, and this initially was a study. It's been changed to really gut the purpose of, I mean, you're renting a car. The purpose is to rent the car. When company doesn't have that ability, and might I add that from my understanding, this amount really isn't a lot as far as I've been told so far. But if they're making their money on renting the car, I don't understand why they shouldn't be allowed to recover this. And I have done research and tried to ask and get answers, and I just haven't been able to get answers from anybody else in the industry. So for that reason, I would like to push this motion again to strike sections 5, 6, and 7. And I ask that when the vote be taken, it be taken by roll.
And I'd like to second that motion.
You read my mind. Okay, second, any questions on the amendment? Just, this is not a friendly amendment. I would encourage the committee to vote it down and to vote no. Or the clerk call the roll.
Representative Wood,
Rep. Wood is a no.
Senator Cabrera,
Senator Cabrera is a no.
Representative Barry,
No.
Senator Anwar, Representative Pavlock Tomato,
Pavlock Tomato votes yes.
Senator Huang, Senator Lesser, Senator Marks,
Senator Marks votes no.
Representative Denning,
Representative Denning votes no.
Representative Delnicki,
Yes.
Representative Meskers,
Representative Meskers votes no.
Representative Nuccio. That concludes the roll. The final tally is those voting yay, 2, those voting nay, 6, those absent and not voting, 4.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Back to the underlining bill. Any questions on the underlining bill? Representative Denning?
I'm sorry, I've got my mic on. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I also agree with Representative Pavlik D'Amato that this bill does not protect the insurance companies enough. Should the customer cause an accident or claim, and I would suggest language that would allow that, and also maybe control the amount that the insurance company could charge, the rental car company could charge for that loss of use, so that it wasn't their highest rate at the highest time of year, but something that was comparable for what that rate actually was. But I do think there needs to be a protection for those rental car companies. And I know it's hard to believe me saying that, but I think we should help them out. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Representative. Any other questions? Representative Delnicki?
Yeah, I'd like to make a couple of comments on the underlying bill. It's interesting. I would always take the collision damage waiver and pay the extra couple of bucks for peace of mind. Now, interestingly, my policy with State Farm covered the rental cars. But nonetheless, I always wanted to have that peace of mind. And as a consumer who rents cars from time to time, taking this option away, if I understand this, is just plain wrong. It truly does provide a level of protection and a level of peace of mind and a level of comfort for the individual driving the vehicle. Because I always had that, pardon the pun, carefree notion that I didn't have to worry. So I think this is a mistake. I dare say, I hope it fails if it is called, because we're denying the consumer the ability to make a choice and make a decision here and take that extra coverage if they wish. Thank you for the opportunity to make a couple of comments.
Thank you, Representative. I see Representative Meskers. Oh, he doesn't. Put it down. Okay. Any other questions on this underlying bill?
Just to
Representative.
clarify, Mr. Chair, I don't believe this takes away somebody purchasing the coverage. I believe it only takes away the right of the rental car company to charge if the car is damaged and not being able to be used. Am I correct?
That's
Thank
correct.
you, Mr. Chair.
Any other comments or questions on underlying bill? Okay, seeing none, will the clerk call the roll, please?
Representative Wood,
Rep. Wood is a yes.
Senator Cabrera,
Senator Cabrera is a yes.
Representative Barry,
Barry, yes.
Senator Anwar, Representative Pavlik D'Amato,
Pavlik D'Amato votes no.
Senator Huang, Senator Lesser, Senator Marks,
Senator Marks votes yes.
Representative Denning,
Representative Denning votes yes.
Representative Delnicki,
No.
Representative Meskers,
Representative Meskers votes yes.
Representative Nuccio. That concludes the roll.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Moving on to item 8 on the agenda, HB 6782, LCO number 4349, and act concerning notices of termination of healthcare contracts. This bill requires notification of healthcare's participating providers and insureds regarding the termination of healthcare contracts between health carriers and healthcare providers. Can I get a motion? So moved by Representative Wood, second by Representative Denning. Questions? Comments? Representative Pavlik D'Amato.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We were going through this and reviewing testimony, and I just a couple questions as far as this would require notification between a provider and an insurance company. So in either event, if one is terminating that contract, the other one would have to notify the other party, as in provider to the insurance company 90 days out, correct?
I'm going to defer to Representative Wood.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. That is correct. The insured would get a notice within 30 days of the end of the contract and have 90 days they'd have 30 days to continue their coverage and then a 60-day cooling off period if the termination actually went through, which rarely happens at all. The goal of this language is to clarify the timing that these notices go out, and also just give the insured, which are people with health insurance, the ability to understand what's going on in a less scary way. Basically what was happening was that contract negotiations were going on and letters were going out that seemed like insurance was going to be canceled. And this is really about the notice that goes out to just let people know that should the cancellation happen, you would have a 60-day cooling off period where your insurance coverage would be extended.
Okay. And so there would
Through
still
you.
be coverage for that 60-day period?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair.
And then also this might be in another part, or I just don't see the language, but as far as who, does this bill designate, or is it, does this bill designate who has to send out that notice through you?
Yes, it does, through you.
And so in the case of a provider no longer wishing to participate in a contract and canceling that contract, who would be required in that case to send out the notice of termination?
Through you, Mr. Chair, the provider would
Through you.
give the insured that are in the network to the carrier, and the carrier would send out the notice.
And through you, would that be the reverse in the other case? If it was the insurance company terminating?
Yes, that is correct. I'm sorry, through you. That's the section large B. Yes.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Any other questions on the online bill? On the bill? All right, seeing none, will the clerk call the roll? Roll
Uh,
call.
Representative Wood,
Rep. Wood is a yes.
Senator Cabrera,
Senator Cabrera is a yes.
Representative Barry,
Barry is a yes.
Senator Anwar, Representative Pavlock Tomato,
All right, I'm going to vote no just to flag, just because there might be language I think that needs fixing, but otherwise, in general, I do support the bill.
Senator Huang, Senator Lesser, Senator Marks,
Senator Marks votes yes.
Representative Denning,
Representative Denning votes yes.
Representative Delnicki, Representative Meskers,
Representative Metzger votes yes.
Representative Nuccio. That concludes the roll.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. I'm moving on to item 9 on the agenda, HB 6785, LCO 5513. This is an act concerning the evicted tenant's personal property. Would allow a municipality to adopt an ordinance to opt out of paying the costs associated with storing an evicted tenant's possessions and personal effects. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
So moved by Representative Wood. Can I get a second? Second by Representative Denning. Representative Wood.
I'd like to just thank everyone that helped us work on this issue. We had a public hearing on this. We had a bunch of testimony on it. We were trying to solve a problem where municipalities are paying a lot of money for evicted persons, moving and storing of evicted person's property. After a lot of work, with many in and outside of this building, including attorneys that deal with evicted people. We realize that the process may be flawed, but is working the best that it can. What we were trying to do here is provide some relief for municipalities that are racking up a lot of costs and a lot of man hours. And we realize that that is a big challenge. So what the JFS language does is just ask the Appropriations Committee to take a look at this process and reimburse towns. The motion is to JFS as to appropriations, and we will let them decide if there's any help for towns that are currently spending a lot of money in this area. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Representative. Any other questions or comments on the bill? Representative Pablo Tomato.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I appreciate the work done on this bill. I'm sure you're aware this is one of my favorites this year. I appreciated the testimony. And I know the answer and the solution that we've come up with so far might not be ideal for everyone. But so then just to clarify, my question would be that in referring this to appropriations, would this bill be enacted and require the state to pay, but within available appropriations through you?
Yes.
And the bill allows the towns to opt out of this. And in that case of the opt out, would they still be required to pay the storage companies for storage of the possessions?
No, I'm understanding the S language that's appropriation language. Yeah.
Did you just say? I'm sorry, I didn't hear that really.
Sorry, Representative Wood, you want to answer this question for me?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair. And through you, the S language says that
Through you.
the state of Connecticut would pay the cost that the municipalities are accruing from storing and processing evicted persons' things through you.
Okay, so so I guess then we would be able to probably get a better idea of at that point what the cost would be through you. Is that correct?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And through you, yes, we would be able to get a better idea of the cost, which is a lot of the feedback that we were hearing and trying to get our arms around this is what exactly are these municipalities paying, for the storage? Can we gather some more data as we move this forward? Through you.
Okay. Thank you for that answer. And this might be my probably, if I had to rank the choices or options available under this bill, this probably would be up there. I won't be supporting the bill only because I don't think anybody, whether at the end of the day, let's face it, if this goes to the state, that means I'm still paying for it. And as I've said, I don't believe I should be paying for storage of somebody's clothing and underwear and phones. I just can't support that in any format whatsoever. However, I do appreciate the work on this bill and the discussions and debate that we've had. So again, I won't be supporting, but I do appreciate the progress that this bill has made. So thank you. Through you.
Thank you, Representative. Any other questions or comments on this bill? So I will be a no vote on this bill. I just think at a time when we're seeing evictions, probably going to continue to go up. I just think we should focus on helping protect us. But I understand and appreciate the conversation and the need. So, Mr. Clerk, will you call the roll?
Representative Wood,
Rep Wood is a yes.
Senator Cabrera,
Senator Cabrera is a no.
Representative Barry,
Representative Barry, yes.
Senator Anwar. Representative Pavlock Tomato,
Pavlock Tomato votes no.
Senator Huang. Senator Lesser. Senator Marks,
Senator Marks votes no.
Representative Denning,
Representative Denning votes yes.
Representative Delnicki,
No.
Representative Meskers,
Representative. Representative Meskers votes yes.
Representative Nuccio. That concludes the roll.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Moving on to item 10, HB 6830, an act establishing a prescription drug affordability board, LCO 5921. This is a JFS to the floor. And this bill establishes a prescription drug affordability board, empowering the board to conduct reviews of prescription drugs that create affordability challenges. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
So move by Representative Wood. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second by Pavlock Tomato. Any questions, comments? Representative Pavlock Tomato.
Just a comment. I believe this bill was part of what we were doing the other day, on Tuesday with the strike all language. Is it this one? Or was it the other one? It is, okay. So I just wanted to point that out and just let's see. I did have one question, but I can reserve, I'm going to ask it later in private. So, but thank you, and I will be supporting this bill.
Thank you, Representative. Any other comments or questions on the bill? Seeing none, will the clerk call the roll?
Representative Wood,
Rep Wood is a yes.
Senator Cabrera,
Senator Cabrera is a yes.
Representative Barry,
Rep Barry, yes.
Senator Anwar. Representative Pavlock Tomato,
Pavlock Tomato votes yes.
Senator Huang. Senator Lesser. Senator Marks,
Marks votes yes.
Representative Denning,
Representative Denning votes yes.
Representative Delnicki,
Yes.
Representative Meskers.
Representative
Representative
Meskers votes yes.
Representative Nuccio, Senator Huang,
I'll come back to you.
cool. That concludes the roll.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. Moving on to item number 12 on the agenda. HB 6634. This is going to be a strike all amendment. Site of service language, and I'm gonna defer to Representative Wood to walk us through it. Yeah, can I get a motion to
So
raise the bill? So moved by seconded by Senator Huang. Representative Wood.
This is a strike all, the JFS language is the site of service language. Basically what it does is it prevents hospitals from charging a hospital fee to off-site locations. It puts in language regarding the tax identification number and the federal tax identification number. What we're looking to do is, this is one of those cost containment bills that we've been working on. If you go to an off-site facility, you would not be charged like you were visiting a hospital. So that is what is in this bill. I believe this language is floating around in some of the other bills in this committee as well as other committees, and hopefully we will be able to continue to work on this language as well.
Thank you, Representative. Any other questions or comments for Representative Denning?
Yeah, I'd like to also, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to also mention that we offer protections in this bill for patients who go in and if their insurance company and the hospital are squabbling over what the rate should be, the patient would not be charged that difference. And it would purely be worked out between the insurance company and the provider. So I think this is good protection for the customer and a good rate for the hospitals and the insurance companies to negotiate a fair rate for each site that they provide service at. Thank you. I'd like to move the amendment. Thank you all for the leadership for letting me do my first amendment proposal. Strike after all the enacting clause and substitute the following lieu of. We basically talk about the purpose of this section is for campus and hospital-based facility have the same meanings as in section 19A 508C of the general statutes and national provider number. Each hospital and facility shall have their own provider number and identity. And this facility in state located off-site from a hospital campus shall submit with each claim for reimbursement or payment to healthcare services provided in such facility. And the national provider number and the tax identification number shall be the identifier for these facilities. No hospital-based facility in the state located off-site from a hospital campus may charge a facility fee unless such fee is mutually agreed upon in contract. And the health carrier is not responsible to reimburse claims for healthcare items and services furnished to a covered person at an off-campus site if billed pursuant to subsection B of this section. And then any facility or its designee that does not bill for professional healthcare items or services rendered to a covered person at an off-campus outpatient department may, as required by this section, may not hold the covered person liable to pay for such healthcare and services. The insurance commissioner may adopt regulations in accordance to the provisions of Chapter 54 of the general statutes to implement the provisions of this section. Thank you, Mr. Chair. And especially thank you, Representative Wood, for this opportunity.
Thank you, Representative Denning. So we have an amendment being offered to HB 6034 LCL 6005 offered by Representative Denning. Can I get a second on the amendment? Second of Representative Wood. Any questions?
Just one
Representative
question.
Pablo D'Amato.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just one question for the proponent of the amendment in C. No hospital-based facility in the state, and it ends with they can't. No hospital may charge a facility fee unless the fee is mutually agreed upon and contracted. Who would that? If you could clarify, who must be part of that?
It would be
contract that will
it would be the insurance company through the chair.
contract?
This gives a hospital who may provide more services at one site. For example, they may have a robotic surgery center, and robotics are very, very expensive. Their costs start at $1 million to get one of the Da Vinci's. And it would be used at an outpatient site, but not afforded if there was not some facilities piece. So this is where we can actually encourage the free market to work together to find the best cost.
Okay, so that would be through the insurance company and the hospital
Correct.
provider. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Huang.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate the input on this proposed amendment. And just for a point of order, just to recognize this concept and this idea did have a public hearing within this committee. So I'm quite and very well familiar with it. Through you, Mr. Chair, would you consider this a friendly amendment?
Yes, I would, Senator.
Thank you. And I am in support as well. If the proponent of the amendment is receptive, I would ask to be able to have the ranking and, of course, the chairs on this amendment as well through the LCO. Would that be acceptable?
There are no objections.
No objections. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you to the proponent of this bill, this amendment.
Thank you, Senator. Any other questions or comments on the amendment? Seeing none, will the clerk call the roll? Sorry, can you call the roll on the amendment? Okay. Yeah, there's no objection. So can we just do a quick voice vote on that? All in favor?
Aye.
All
Aye.
opposed? Amendment passes. Okay, going back to the underlining bill. Any other questions or comments on the underlying bill? Seeing none, will the clerk call the roll?
Representative Wood,
Rep. Wood is a yes.
Senator Cabrera,
Senator Cabrera is a yes.
Representative Barry,
Representative Barry, yes.
Senator Anwar, Representative Pavlock D'Amato,
Pavlock D'Amato votes yes.
Senator Huang,
Senator Huang, yay.
Senator Lesser, Senator Marks,
Senator Marks votes yes.
Representative Denning,
Representative Denning votes yes.
Representative Delnicki,
Yes.
Representative Meskers,
Representative Meskers votes yes.
Representative Nuccio. That concludes the roll.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Moving on, we're going to go back to item 6 on the agenda, SB 1116, LCO number 5706. This is an act concerning state operated reinsurance programs and healthcare cost growth. And this bill would require the state to apply for a 1332 waiver to establish a reinsurance program requiring OPM to transfer up to $21 million, incorporates hospitals into the healthcare benchmarking, and requires OHS to use APCD data, requires the OSH director to account for adverse impacts on individuals with disabilities, establishes site neutral payments in healthcare contracts. And this is a JF to the floor. Can I get a motion?
Second.
Senator Huang moved, Senator Which seconded. Any questions? Comments? Senator Huang.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to thank the leadership of this committee through awareness and education on the focus of reducing healthcare costs. This is a supplement to a program that we did in this legislature in conjunction with the governor's office on benchmarking. This is a continuation, as you said, using a 1332 waiver and using possible federal funds to be able to alleviate cost of insurance by using a well-established reinsurance program, but also establishing target benchmarking programs that is administered by the administration's Office of Health Strategies, and also to be able to work with them in regards to provisions and contracts regarding reimbursement for covered health benefits. It is a continual mission and goal of this committee to work to reduce healthcare costs in many ways and forms. Continually, it's a work in progress. I appreciate the leadership's input and I urge support in this bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Huang. Representative Wood.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank Senator Huang and Senator Kelly for raising this concept. I think we're all on the same page, which is how can we lower the cost of health insurance coverage to people in Connecticut? And for those on the exchange and fully insured plans, reinsurance may be one of those options. While this is a JFS to the floor, this will likely end up in Appropriations Committee. There is a large cost to this. And while I'll be supporting this bill, I will also make sure that, this is something the state of Connecticut can afford at this time. One concern I do have is that the federal government is subsidizing many of the plans on the exchange currently. And I want to make sure if we do move forward with the reinsurance plan, that those subsidies are protected and we are not actually lowering the cost for people that are on the exchange through a reinsurance program. So thanks again for looking at ways that we can reduce cost of insurance for people and getting more people coverage in the state of Connecticut.
Thank you, Madam Co-Chair. Any other questions or comments on this bill? I believe there's a request to put this on the consent calendar if there's no objections. Seeing none, we'll put this on the consent. Thank you. moving on to item 13 on the agenda. HB 6709 LCO 6138. This is an act concerning Access Health Connecticut. Would require Access Health to allow health insurers to market qualified health plans and help prospective enrollees with the QHP enrollment process and helping them deal with the redetermination of people falling off insurance at this time. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
So moved by Representative Wood. Is there a second? Second by Representative Denning. Is there comments, discussion? Representative Wood.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Right now, there is a redetermination process going on in Connecticut where hundreds of thousands of people are falling off Medicaid and will be moved into different coverage plans. About 100,000 of those will be eligible for the exchange. And what the goal of this bill is to make sure that every single one of them will be able to have to be able to find ways to get on the exchange. Currently, we do not allow the carriers on the exchange to directly enroll. And the goal of this bill would do that. I do want to offer a friendly amendment, and some of the issues that came up was if a person went to an insurer on the exchange and there's two different carriers on the exchange now, would that one carrier that they were talking to be able to share information on both carriers? So we wanted to be able to put language on here that was in compliance with Centers for Medicare and Medicaid so that people were aware that there are two carriers on the exchange if they do go directly to a carrier. So I'd like to propose an amendment. The amendment would be strike subsection D and substitute the following in lieu thereof. D would be notwithstanding any provision of Title 38A for the open enrollment periods beginning in November 2023 and November 2024. The exchange shall, in consultation with the Department of Social Services, implement an enhanced direct enrollment process in accordance with the rules of the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services for any qualified health plan issuer or web broker licensed in the state to directly enroll any prospective enrollee in a qualified health benefit plan through the exchange. For purposes of this subsection, enhanced direct enrollment means a service that allows any qualified health plan issuer or web broker licensed in the state to access the exchange platform on behalf of any prospective enrollee to directly enroll such prospective enrollee in a qualified health benefit plan through the exchange. And I give LCO the ability to make conforming changes.
Thank you, Representative Wood. This is a friendly amendment. Can I get a second on the amendment? Senator Wong. Sorry, can I get a motion on the amendment?
I was going to second it.
Senator Wong. Will we stand at ease for a minute? Thank you. We're back. Can we do a voice vote on this amendment? There's no objections. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Back to the underlining bill. Any questions on the underlining bill or comments or discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk call the roll?
Representative Wood,
Rep. Wood is a yes.
Senator Cabrera,
Senator Cabrera is a yes.
Representative Barry, Senator Anwar, Representative Pavlock D'Amato,
Pavlock D'Amato votes yes.
Senator Huang,
Senator Huang, yay.
Senator Lesser, Senator Marks,
Senator Marks votes yes.
Representative Denning,
Representative Denning votes yes.
Representative Delnicki,
Yes.
Representative Meskers,
Representative Meskers votes yes.
Representative Nuccio. That concludes the roll.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Moving on to the last item on the agenda, number 14, HB 6833, an accuracy electronic notification to insurers requiring that the health insurers allow insureds to elect to receive any insurance coverage documents by electronic means. LCO 4814, and I believe there's a request to put this on consent if there are no objections.
You can raise it. I'll raise it.
Senator Huang raising, move. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second, Representative Wood. All's in favor? But we can do a voice vote. Great, we'll move that to consent. I believe that concludes the agenda. And we need to vote on the consent calendar. Mr. Clerk? Sure, take your time.
This vote is on consent calendar A, including agenda items SB 1038, SB 1112, SB 1116, and HB 6833. Representative Wood,
Rep. Wood is a yes.
Senator Cabrera,
Sarah Cabrera is a yes.
Representative Barry, Senator Anwar, Representative Pavlock Tomato,
Pavlock Tomato votes yes.
Senator Huang,
Senator Huang, yay.
Senator Lesser, Senator Marks,
Senator Marks votes yes.
Representative Denning,
Representative Denning votes yes.
Representative Delnicki,
Yes.
Representative Meskers,
Representative Meskers votes yes.
Representative Nuccio.
Representative Nuccio votes yes.
That concludes the roll.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. That concludes our agenda. Votes will be open till 2 p.m. today for those legislators that need to vote. And thank you so much.
Thank you.
I want to also thank the staff. Yeah, absolutely. Yes, the votes are being opened at 2 o'clock. And oh, got it. An insurance firm. We're in what, 1B? 1B. 1B. Thank you. Thank you all.
I just want to do a quick thank you to Connor, OLR, OFA for all their help as well. And Justin and Sean. And I'll pass it over to Senator Wong.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and this concludes our work on the committee. It's been an absolute pleasure and effective work on this committee. I want to thank the chairs for their inclusion and collaboration. I am grateful, and many of these works may be continual work in progress. You have my commitment to facilitate that. And I also wanted to follow and echo the chair's comment that our staff makes our life a whole lot easier. OLR makes us a lot smarter. LCO keeps us in the narrow and straight. We would not nearly be as effective without their support and help and the countless hours that they commit to us. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you. Ditto. Thank you, everyone.
Hi, Senator.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Excellent.
Good. I am missing
tell you
you. Well, it'll at least. Oh, sorry.
I cannot hear you for some reason.
Oh, you
Okay.
can't hear me right now?
You can hear me, right?
I can hear you. Can you hear me now?
Perfect. So, I think item number 1 is 1037.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Senator Anwar votes yes.
Great. Thank you, Senator. And then item number 2 is on our consent calendar, so I'll just get that.
Can you repeat what you just said?
Item number 2 is on our, sorry, I'm just gonna like. for
Yeah,
whatever reason,
1038, item number 2, Senator Anwar votes yes.
That's on our consent calendar, so I'll get to that one last.
Okay.
Item number 3, SB 1039, how do you vote?
Senator Anwar votes yes.
Great. Item number 5, we're skipping item 4 because it's also on the consent. Item number 5, SB 1114, an act concerning a study of prohibit private equity ownership in hospice care.
Senator Anwar votes yes.
Great, thank you. And then item number 7, SHB 6858, that's the long one, but it's an act, the start of it is an act establishing a task force to study methods to encourage insurance.
Senator Anwar votes yes.
Beautiful, thank you. And then item number 8, SB 6782, how do you vote?
That's item number 7.
Item number 8, we just.
Item number 8, 6782, Senator Anwar
Yeah.
votes no.
Understood. Item number 9, HB 6785, an act concerning evicted tenants' personal property.
Senator Anwar votes no.
Understood. Item number 10, HB 6830, an act establishing a prescription drug affordability board.
Senator Anwar votes yes.
Thank you. Item number 11, an act concerning dog breed insurance underwriting. The JFS to Judish.
Can you repeat that again?
The action is JFS to judiciary. For item number 11.
11, Senator Anwar votes yes.
Item number 12, HB 6634, how do you vote?
Senator Anwar votes yes.
Great. And item number 13, an act concerning Access Health CT, JFS to the floor, how do you vote?
Senator Anwar votes no.
Understood. And then we get to the consent calendar, which is bills SB 1038, SB 1112, SB 1116, and HB 6833. How do you vote?
Senator Anwar votes yes.
Great. That covers you for today, Senator. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Justin. Thank you. Sorry for missing it. I had a public health committee related meeting in New York, so that's where I had to be.
No worries at all. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.